Hi, y'alls. Thanks for tuning in today. Today, I want to talk about boundaries. Boundaries are super important, and it's crazy that we're not actually taught good boundaries as like a skill as children. I actually feel like for a lot of people, disrespecting or disregarding people's boundaries is like pretty either common or maybe even encouraged sometimes. Like, think about, for example, if someone doesn't like being scared and they've told someone that, and then you continue to scare them because it's funny, or like other situations like that where it's like you're doing something past someone's limits for the bit or for your own. Yeah, it's the same thing. I'm sure there's other situations besides just for comedy where people ignore people's boundaries, maybe at work, at school, things like that. But I feel like having boundaries is one of the most important, having and sticking by them for yourself and for other things is a super important adult skill to have. And I think it's like one of the highest forms of discipline to be aware of something that's happening in your life, know what you need to do to make it different, and then following through on that thing is amazing. Maybe you have, because like, what's the difference between a boundary and self-discipline? Really? A boundary of like, I'm not going to eat that food because it makes me feel bad. A boundary of like, I'm not going to let myself skip the gym because I know I'll feel like shit if I do. Yeah, so I've been trying to be really good about honoring other people's boundaries and sensitivities and also honoring my own boundaries and sensitivities. Personally, for me, and again, I think this is really common for people, you're told like, oh, girls are weak, or who the fuck is at my door? I think my dog just ran into my door. My dog totally just ran into my door. You're told that like having sensitivities makes you weak, makes you feminine. Don't cry. Only girls cry. Tough it out. Toughen up. Push through it. And when I think about the school system and how I don't think I'd ever put my kid in public school, because to be away for that many hours a day is crazy. It's just to create workers. Um, how does this relate back to sensitivities and boundaries? I totally lost my train of thought. Anyways, it's important. And here are the ways that I have boundaries with myself and with others. Because, like, you can't force someone to change their behavior. A boundary, we should start off, is something that you do for you. If you say, don't talk to me like that, and then they continue to talk to you like that, you cannot enforce a rule upon someone else. What you do, what your boundary is, I'm not going to talk to you anymore if you're going to talk to me like that. I'll block you. I won't respond to you. I won't hang out with you anymore. Had to do that with my dad. I was like, hey, I only want people who are going to lift me up in my life, and I'm creating boundaries that, like, if you are going to criticize or be mean to me, I don't want to hang out with you, and you will see less of me. You can't just become like a police state and be like, you need to respect my boundary. No, that's not how it works. So similarly, it's like you get yourself to do other things which are good for you, like the relationship you have with yourself, like what you will and won't allow. All right. I guess let me start with interpersonal boundaries. Like I said, my dad, great example. Another one, I'm at work and someone's about to tell me gossip about something that sounds kind of like, they said it's making them anxious. And I said, hey, actually, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And then they didn't tell me, and my day was probably so much better for that. Another example, I have a new coworker who likes to talk about pop culture a lot, but there's a lot of emotional and physical abuse that happens. I've seen it all already. I know what happens, and I know that it repeats itself over and over. I don't need to hear every other person through the internet story about how they've been emotionally or physically abused, even if it's relevant to the news, because history just repeats itself. I've heard it all already. I'm only really interested in hearing about stories that are within my community or relevant to the people that I'm directly talking to. I want my life to be filled with real experiences, and not with the experiences of people like states away, countries away. Like, it does not do anything to benefit my psyche or my life or my joy. It actually takes away from my joy. It makes me more anxious and more afraid for no good reason, So I told my coworker, like, hey, please don't tell me stories that have to do with emotional or physical abuse. And she kind of got a little weird about it. Someone else I met, I told them that kind of straight up, and they were very sweet about it. Like, people will respect your boundaries if they care about you. And if they don't care about you enough to respect your boundaries, that is beautiful. It means that you should stay the fuck away from them. It means that, like, no matter how much you love them or they love you, like, you should stay the fuck away from them. Love them from afar. Boundaries with work are really important. I'm not going to work off the clock. I'm not going to work more hours than I'm scheduled to. I'm not going to come in early without enough notice. I'm going to take my break, even if I'm told I shouldn't take my break, because I'm legally allowed to take my break. Not letting yourself be pushed around by management. My friend's like that. She's at the post office. She's like, I don't care how much they want to tell me to not take my break. She's like, I'm going to take it every time because it's good for her mental health. And when you really start recognizing the things that will make your life better and following through on the actions to get to that place, it makes life so much more enjoyable. It filters out so much bullshit. Filters. Next topic, boundaries with social media. I had to put on a lot of word boundaries, like words I don't want to come up on my feed, like assault, sexual assault, rape, brutality, like police violence, war. Maybe I put war, maybe I put starvation, a lot of things around sexual assault and physical assault. And my feed's better for it, bitch. Like, I actually get the teehees and the teehaws because I'm not on there to get like the news from the news from the news from a meme. If I wanted to know what was going on, I could just go to the news. I'd probably go to like, what's that new news website like that is like grounded and you can see like how far the article leans left or right. And I'd go get my news from a reputable, I can't talk today. I would go and get my news from a reputable source if that's what I was trying to do. I don't need to hear every person on Earth's horror story. I don't need to like absorb everybody else's trauma. Like, I'm okay with hearing stories about trauma related to people that I know personally, that I'm having a personal conversation with, or that maybe they know personally. But like, I don't need to fill my psyche with like made up stories, television, horror bullshit, like slasher. I used to watch so much Criminal Minds in college, and you know what started happening? I started having assault dreams. I've never been assaulted in my entire life. And I was having assault dreams, and I continue to have assault dreams because I used to watch incredible amounts of Criminal Minds. To Catch a Predator is what my ex used to watch because he thought it was funny. I mean, pedophilia isn't funny, but when they catch them, I guess it's funny. And then you see all those stories on YouTube Shorts and Instagram about this person and that, and it's like, I don't want to know. It is not improving my life at all. So that's a boundary I like to have with social media. And then there could be boundaries with just your phone in general, how much time you want to spend on your phone a day. I know that the amount of time I spend on my phone as it goes up is in direct correlation to my mental health going down for the most part. I'm probably around 4 hours a day right now. That's about double what I want to be at. I used to be really good about keeping it like under 2 hours. But that's like a boundary with yourself or just self-discipline. And when it comes to, I think that's like the difference. Self-discipline, I feel like, is kind of around this mentality of like guilt and shame and like, oh, I need to be disciplined to be this way because if I'm not this way, then it means that like I'm a failure or I'm lazy or that like I'm not tough enough or dedicated enough or have enough money or whatever. Versus I feel like setting a boundary comes out of love. Like I used to spend so much time in high school feeling guilt and shame for not working out or doing anything and just doom scrolling all summer long. But then I realized like as the years went by, like I have never actually sought action through self-hate, through shame or guilt. I only go to the gym when I'm really feeling myself, when I'm like, hey, Rachel, you really need this. You might feel like shit right now, but like you need to be active and you will feel so good and you'll be so grateful to yourself afterwards. And like we're going to show up for ourselves and show ourselves that love and go, you know? So I feel like that reframing can kind of help get over that hump of love versus hate, self-hate versus self-love. Interpersonal boundaries, boundaries with social media, boundaries with the phone, boundaries with yourself. So for me, it's like a lot of dietary boundaries. What I will and won't allow myself to eat because it affects my body so sensitively. So I've been having a little bit too much sugar lately. Guess what? The hypoglycemia is coming back, bitch. I'm getting a little lightheaded. My energy's crashing a little bit. You know what happens when I go back to my under 30 grams of sugar a day? I'm tough as nails, bitch. Like, so it's like, that's a boundary I set with myself. Same with like meditation. Is it self-discipline or is it a boundary with yourself? I want to do this every day because I know it's good for me. I know it will benefit me. And it's like I said in the beginning of the video, the most beautiful experience to recognize yourself, be aware of yourself, conscious of your habits, conscious of your needs, to make a plan on how you're going to fix that, you know, be flexible in your problem solving abilities and actually fucking do it. You know, I think I really get in my head sometimes about all the reasons why I can't do something or it's going to be too hard. But kind of like a affirmation I give myself sometimes is nothing's ever hard for me. Everything that's hard is always easy. And maybe you have a different experience than this. Maybe you think something's going to be easy and ends up being hard. But for me, I kind of create this barrier to even starting because I hype up in my head how difficult it's going to be. Like, you know, when you want to fold the laundry and you're thinking about how much you don't want to do it and how long it's going to take and how difficult it's going to be. And then you do it and you're like, why have I let the laundry been sitting for like 4 days? It's actually easy. Everything that I think is hard is actually easy. So that's been like really encouraging to recognize in myself. And I hope it helps you too. Like even like complicated processes, I feel like I get so overwhelmed when it's like, just start. Like writing a paper. Like for me, writing a research paper is actually really easy and enjoyable. It's the getting started part that's hard. I'm probably doing that with my book right now. I'm thinking it's going to be hard because I'm like, oh, I don't have the attention. I don't have the focus. I probably just need to pick up the book and I'll be like, oh, this is so easy. But I feel like that pretty much covers all of the boundaries, financial boundaries, which is like, it's just kind of turning into discipline. You know, what you will and won't let yourself spend, what your goals are and how you're going to get there. Honoring your sensitivities. Yeah. Looping back to the sensitivities thing as opposed to strictly boundaries. Like, I know that my body is sensitive, right? So if I were to like go and buy clothes that irritate my skin, like I would just be making my life hell. I feel like when you recognize your sensitivity and you honor it in like the deepest way, it's showing up for yourself in a way that No one else can or will. Only you can do that. Only you can show up for yourself and your sensitivities. And then when you start implementing those boundaries, it's like, damn, okay. This is a shorter video. I hope that's okay. I hope I covered everything. I'm sure I'll probably make another one that relates to this, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. I've been thinking about the whole sensitivities and boundaries thing. It's not for the weak of heart. It's not. Like, a lot of people have issues with conflict, and it can feel like conflict to set a boundary with someone. But it can actually just be so easy, though. And I think the conflict arises because, like, you've probably been denying yourself it for so long that it feels so uneasy to then put that forward. Because then it's like, oh, well, what if they don't respect the boundary? And then you have to take the action part of, like, changing your situation or changing where you are, the spaces that you're in. Like, something recently for me is like, I kind of have to create a boundary for like what I'll think about. If I start like thinking about how much I hate my boss and how annoying he is, I have to be like, hey, we told ourselves that we weren't going to worry about that. And that actually is a lot better than we think it is. I feel like the narratives we write for ourselves plays into this a little bit, but that will be a different video about narratives and writing your own script and your internalized beliefs and shifts. Like, oh, last boundary, music. Because I said media. Music affects you so much. So much. And I feel like the kind of music that people listen to says a lot about who they are. And if you are feeding yourself lyrics and themes of ideals that you don't align with, where do you think you're going to go? Up? Fuck no. The hell? That's psychotic to think that, like, if you are struggling with depression and you're listening to people talk about themselves being depressed, you know that you're going to get better, or that's going to actually help you or benefit you. Boundaries with your words too, how you speak about yourself, how you speak about others makes a huge impact, because you can literally speak yourself into pain simply by saying, oh, that's such a pain. Oh, that's sick. I used to say that's sick all the time. And guess what? I was deathly afraid of being sick. Anybody else clocking that? So you got to be real choosy with who you spend your time with, what you eat, you know, what you listen to, what you watch. And there's nothing wrong with being choosy and honoring your personal sensitivities. Like, I think I was listening to like Suicide Boys and stuff like that, like more tougher music. And I was like listening to it for real. And I was like, this is actually demonic. Is it fun to listen to? Yes. Yes. Is it demonic? Also, it's giving yes. You know, if all you listen to like Suicide Boys and Ghostmane and like all this other shit, like when I was going through my breakup, my boundary for myself was that like, I am not going to guilt myself for not being able to listen to all the music that I usually listen to. I didn't listen to love songs, any songs that I felt like triggered me. Like, I was like, I can skip this song and I don't need to feel bad for skipping this song. And I think there is a line between having zero tolerance for life and being like overly sensitive to the point where it's ruining your quality of life, and just honoring normal sensitivities that are going to improve your quality of life. So that can be a kind of a fine line. If you are someone who's like very, very, very sensitive, like I think I'm a pretty sensitive person, but I'm sure there's even more sensitive people out there. And for all I know, like if you start honoring your sensitivities, you might shift into that hypersensitive space of like everything's bothering you. But then that just comes with exposure therapy. You know, for me with social anxiety, it means going out to things that I say I want to do, then I decide I don't want to do, but going anyway. Exposure therapy is great, especially because I feel like it's one of the fastest ways to build your confidence, because you're proving to yourself that you can do the hard thing, that everything that seems hard is actually easy. Because like humans, we're awesome. Like, we are so flexible and adaptable and all these things. yeah, might as well take advantage of it. So yeah, music's a big one. And I think that's it. Yeah. I think that about covers it. Yeah, the words you use is really... Because I sometimes catch myself calling myself stupid too much, because I'll use calling myself stupid as a scapegoat for being a little socially retarded. And I mean that in the medical sense, like retardation. Like not understanding certain social dynamics. And so if I like hurt someone's feelings, or someone's like, what the fuck? And I'll just be like, oh, like, don't take it personally, I'm just stupid. Or like, don't get mad at me, I'm just stupid. Like, don't get frustrated, it's not that deep, I'm just stupid. But then it's like, I'm actually not stupid. And it's okay to make mistakes. And it's okay to learn. And I'm not crazy. Yeah. Self-talk is huge. And you really gotta tighten up your boundaries on your self-talk if you want to make it to the next level. Like, I'll probably make a video about my whole situation in Mexico to now, but I literally asked the universe, or I told myself that I was going to level up. And I thought that meant that like I was going to get tan and skinny and like meditate every day and, you know, just be this like zen, unbothered person. And instead it dragged me to the depths of hell so that I could build myself back up and like learn the actual skills I needed. Which has a lot to do with like how you talk to yourself, the beliefs you hold, all that stuff. So good luck, you people out there. I really hope this appeals to the girls and the guys. I have a lot of male viewers. It's actually shocking because all my videos are pretty much just me seated talking about bullshit. So if you're a girl, drop a comment. I'd love to, you know, hear your feedback. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching.